Yep.
Yes, Benjamin.
Thank you, Lucas. Gentlemen, welcome back to Dungeons and Dragons this week. Get the feeling going. A very, very quick recap as we are going into some intense situations. Last session, we began upon the vengeance, where Oramis continued his dealings with the Admiral. They eventually came to an agreement. The Admiral would give Oramis a title and a position in this city if he gained a written and signed letter from the Council of Ambyr that recognizes the Shattered Coast as a singular individual state. After a day of fixing up the ship and naming Ms. Bonnie Chang as the new captain of the Ocean's Wrath, you teleported back to the capital, where you gathered the full gang of Guardians and discussed the plans for the future. In the end, you decided, and obviously this isn't solid set in stone, you can change this as much as you want, if and whenever time, but as far as I gathered, you decided that the OG Guardians, Kaiman and Griffin, would go to the tower to confront Tiamat. Then they would head to the Hawkswell Mountains, and Griffin would split off to go to the Lawstones on the northernmost mountain of the Hawkswell Mountains. After that, the Drengers and Doc would go after Balzanoff. Felix, Griffin, and Galahad would head after the Godsbane Blade in the Feywild, and all the while, Gylndan would research where the Yggdrasil tree might be on its plane, and you'll go and get that of your own sort of accords whenever whoever is either alive or available to go collect that item, if that's the way you're planning on going and defeating Tiamat. Gylndan finally left read a letter sent to him by Archmage Brash, where he was recommended to be the new Archmage. And in the end, you'll spend the night at your new mansion in the Falcon District. You woke the next day, and the tower group set off. After a day and a half of walking, you finally made it to the tower where you stole your resolve, stepped into the waters, and went into the tower. And this is where we end the session. So, as the waters of the lake sort of envelop you, and though you try to sort of, keep them out of your mouth, out of your nose, it's almost like the water turns thin, almost cloudy like smoke, and fills your nostrils, your mouth, your throat, your lungs with this dark, cold energy. You can't breathe for a moment, and you're gasping, you're gagging for breath and air, just in this complete and utter darkness, before eventually you open your eyes and take a full, deep, gasping breath and appear within the tower. Somewhat, you remember it, but it is slightly. And for that, bring you over Tiamat's tower. So Ryan, for your information, as I said last week, this tower is a huge, huge tower that floats over this over this lake. It is, miles high, goes up off into the clouds tall. It's made from like this large, complicated stone structure, and there are sort of lots of sort of statues, and there's a lot of regality to this space. It almost looks like a sort of a cathedral tower, but like multiplied by like 1,000. And as you step inside, there is still this almost cathedral-esque feel. There is this sort of like solid stone interior, lots of details on the walls and these like arches built into the walls. There are the interiors are five-sided space, five-sided interior room. And as you appear, instead of the sort of podium in the middle and the 5 doors around the edge, they seem to have disappeared. And now, instead, you see a large table, a large sort of circular table, and sat on one far end of the table, there is a woman with onyx black skin, horns coming off the top of her head, dark hair that sort of forms down into this extremely long sort of an elaborate braid, down her back, going down to the small of her back. She is feminine, but still very strong of build. You can see there is like a leanness to her. She has these eyes that almost shift slightly in color from blue to green to white to black to red. And she has this wonderful necklace that is covered in gems, 5 gems to be exact. One of the similar colors that her eyes are colored like, the colors of chromatic dragons. Beneath this, she wears just like this very simple but long, sort of flowing robe. And you remember before, you've seen her multiple times now, and she's always covered by this sort of like black smoke, this like dark cloud or mist. But now you don't see any of that. For the first time, you're seeing her as a full, solid individual. Her full being of the Dark Lady, Tiamat. As you recall, Tiamat, this is her humanoid form, the form of the Dark Lady. Behind her, stood behind her chair, there are chairs, funnily enough for each of you, around this table. They are tall, like grand wooden chairs, the kind you would sort of find in a, like king's, like a king's sort of like ball, like dining chamber. And behind her chair, stood fairly close to her, is this massive being. He is 9-10 feet tall, and his horns protrude several feet above him. His skin is made of swirling volcanic black stone. And sort of beneath the cracks, and within all the cracks in this stone, you can see this volcanic like heat, like magma beneath his skin. He still, sadly, retains many features that your friend did. His jawline is similar to that of Balzanor's, the sort of harsh, deep, sort of like the deep furrowed brow, the slight like head shape and a few sort of just accents around his body, but he is larger, he is more imposing, and certainly more demonic. As you see, the being that was Balzanor, but now something entirely different stood before you. He stands behind the Dark Lady, but close, and in his hands, sort of, he's almost leaning on this huge black iron club. And you can see in the darkness of the area he stands sort of behind her, he does slightly sort of glow, like the magma beneath him does give off this horrible sort of dark glow. As you appear in this space and you sort of cough and gather your breath, you're all sort of separated equally throughout the room behind one of these chairs. Behind one of these chairs, around this very, very large table that's covered in this tablecloth. And you can see around the 5 sort of sides of the room, much like this tablecloth that is split into sort of 5 sections, there are banners of the colours of Tiamat. And as you enter and gather yourselves, the Dark Lady Tiamat says, "Ah, finally, you have arrived. I was beginning to wonder when you would come. Hello, Guardians. Nice to see you again. Please, have a seat. Are you hungry? Or thirsty?
Oh, I'm thirsty.
I think we didn't come here for pleasantries.
Oh. Why are you all so... This need not be such a dramatic meeting. Let us relax. Please, have a drink." And she waves her hands, and as she does, before you, these large goblets, like these beautiful goblets filled with wine appear before you. You can smell the wine as it appears, and it is fruity, and it is sort of pungent, and it is this wonderful aroma. Almost like the whole room almost begins to smell of this wondrous wine. Or would you rather some ale, perhaps? And she waves her hand again, and these large tankards of frothing, wonderful, warming ale appear before you, and their smell once again fills your nostrils.
Can I grab one out of midair? And
Well,
does it then feel like it doesn't have their...
they're like
Or
on
has
the
she just
table.
summed it? Oh yeah, I just... If it's just on the table, I'll just sort of flip it over.
Yeah.
Just so it feels...
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink one.
Oh,
Yeah, Gylndan goes and knocks it over. Oramis, you drink one, yeah? Are you drinking the wine or are you drinking the ale?
I'm drinking the wine, but I am also quickly checking my character sheet.
Oh, yeah.
you are the guy to do the wine tasting, as
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't hide.
I'll drink
Yeah,
it.
Imagine I
I
push mine over as I say, like, you know, let's not pretend we don't have a history. And then Oramis is just there, like, glugging this shit.
Yeah, Oramis, you lift it up, and the closer you bring it to your mouth, it tastes, like, smells more wonderful. And then you place it to your lips, and you begin drinking, and it tastes of nothing. Nothing. Not even, like, the fresh taste of water. Like, you know, and it's almost drying. Like, have you ever had like a cup of tea but with no milk, and it's hot, dry? That sort of like drying feeling down your throat. Except it's not hot; it is cool, but it just tastes of nothing. And instead of refreshing you like water would, yeah, it almost dries out your throat a little bit as you drink it. It's not that nice. Tiamat herself sort of reaches for a glass herself and she drinks. And then she smiles, and as she smiles you can see these like horrid fangs in her mouth. Ah, please, sit down. You are right, Master Wizard. We do have a history, and I would like to perhaps, well, I wouldn't necessarily say change that history, but I would like to maybe amend it, see how we can come to a brighter future, perhaps. Please, have a seat. You all must have travelled far from the capital. You must be hungry. She waves a hand again, and
What does this bitch not understand about us not do the pleasantries?
she waves a hand again, and this meal appears before you. This almost like a Sunday roast, but like the kind you would get from a carvery. There's different meats there, wonderful meats, and once again this pungent smell of a roast with gravy and vegetables and sort of like wonderful sauces fills your nostrils. And it appears before her, and she takes a knife and fork and just slowly begins cutting it up. She takes a bite. She says, Before we begin, I thought we might talk a little, get to know each other a little better. You've all come so far since you were here before. My, when you were here before, you were, well, there were certainly less of you. You've gained Asimar, it would seem. She nods towards Griffin. And whatever it would appear you are. She looks towards Kindness. And you have each changed yourselves. Dokrumir, I hear whispers that you are now some sort of champion of your god. Very well done. Gylndan, possibly to become the Archmage. An impressive feat. And Oramis, well, I think you have changed the most since you were last here. I'm aware of everything that comes into this tower. All creatures and creature types. Funny, how a champion of Cleric of Life walks around with a revenant. One with lacking soul.
Just give Doc a side eye.
Failed to mention this on a little excursion, Oramis.
Hmm?
You failed to mention this on our little excursion.
I don't know if now's really the time to get into this.
Oh no,
but this-
of course not. But you can sure bet your fucking ass after we're getting into it.
You guys
It is.
didn't know I could smell it from the beginning. I thought you guys just knew.
That guy does not smell tasty.
It is interesting. Quite the group you've become, certainly, says as she takes another mouthful of food, washes it down with a small sort of sip of her wine. Would you not agree, my son? And the creature behind her simply just like, almost just like just breathes this like, and just this like smoke appears from his Minotaur-esque nostrils.
Bless you.
Who
As you
brought this
said,
guy along?
He just, as you said, Climate, like he just like stares daggers towards you, and you just almost like see like little, tiny trails of smoke coming from his eyes, as then clearly kind of pissed him off a little.
Just for your reference, Ryan, Balzanor was Matt's other character, who was a sorcerer whose main attribute was strength.
A sorcerer.
And he only had fire spells.
Yeah.
So he flung fireball literally every round. That's all he ever did was fireball, fireball, firebolt, fireball, fireball.
Oh, and then the odd
Counterspell.
clutch counter spell at like third level for a 5th level spell that he seemed to get every time.
Yeah.
Do wizards, are they meant to do other stuff?
No, to be fair, he never shied away from what he did, and he did it very well. So,
And to be
fair
fair,
play to
he
him.
was a fire sorcerer. He was a his subclass was draconic sorcerer, and he took red dragon for that. So it was all fire stuff. And you would have probably learned from the Guardians. I imagine you guys would have caught them up, caught Kaiman up. Basically, what happened was they faced a necromancy queen who was one of the priests of Tiamat, and then Tiamat appeared.
I killed
Killed her. Tiamat appeared, saw Balzanor, and realized that within his blood, he was not a red dragon sorcerer. His blood wasn't filled with the blood of a red dragon. It was, in fact, a demon that was technically her son, as she mated with a demon eons ago. And so she essentially brought her son out in him. She brought the demon and made him
She's
into...
bringing out the demon in most of us, I think. Alright.
Indeed. Tiamat sort of continues. A quick question, if you don't mind my asking. A question I've wondered for a long time. Why all of you? I don't quite understand it. A group of misfits from nowhere decides to face off against a god. A god who has not harmed them directly, or had not before this event. You don't know me. You don't know what I fight for. You don't know my true past. You know what you've been told. Why do you fight so hard against what I do?
I'll call it an inkling, but everything within your followers do. Okay, cool.
My actions.
Yes, that's how
As
I
if-
judge you.
My actions. Are they so different from your god's actions? Are they so different from any other being of power's actions? I'm simply trying to create peace, such as you are. Except, in my world, the world I will create, there will be true peace. The world you're trying to protect is so fragmented. Countries wage war for gods that they believe in. gods that they think will do right by them and right by the world. People fight one another every day for countries and kings and wealth and power.
How are you different?
Because in my world, in the world I will create, there will not be countries, there will not be gods. There will be one unified land.
And you
One
expect people to take that lying down? You're a fool. I'd been led to believe you contained some mitigation of intelligence until this point, but you believe everyone will just accept your world, accept what you want.
Oh no.
You're a fool.
Outliers such as yourself. And of course there will be a period of unrest, but people will begin to see that under this unified rule, there will finally be peace. And I will be treated.
You know so
my
little,
dear.
it seems, of the human condition. The way people strive for individuality, the way they cling to faith, the way they need faith. They need things to believe in, even if those things that they believe in are not necessarily perfect. They need things to believe in. It is the nature of belief that makes one human.
They can believe in me. That is
what I've seen, there's very little to believe in.
You are an interesting one, Dokrumir. I can see why Apollo has chosen you. Enough chatter. You are none of you conversationalists. I think we would all just like to get down to business then, shall we? I suspect you're all feeling quite proud of yourselves as you come in here now. Quite honoured. You've defeated 4, 5, grant you, of my priests. Mortal beings I granted power, knowledge in return for service. And if it were not for Lolth and her lack of control over the descent in the Underdark, if it were not for Raziel's failings in, I guess, luck, with reliance on it, if it were not for Yara's ignorance and arrogance, and Rashak's blind faith, maybe we would not be here now. But sadly I trusted in mortal beings, and that was foolish of me. So, I guess we are here. And I must say, well done. Congratulations. I initially did not think you could defeat them. You've truly proved that mortals are not useless, after all. This is why I give you this wonderful feast. As congratulations. Well done. But I also give you this feast here today. And I brought you here today because I wanted to apologize. Sincerely. Rashak.
The sincerity of one's apologies also is conveyed through their actions.
It is. And my actions are as follows. I have told my clergy to preach strength. Strength in unity, strength in one's self, one's conviction. And I have lacked that for many, many years. And it is that for which I apologize for. You see, back when I was brought to the to the then 8 hells, but not quite in my own realm, my brother came to see me. He pleaded me to rethink my actions. He told me he understood what I was going through. And he told me that it would all get better someday, if only I were patient. How could he? It infuriated me. You see, Guardians, I have been the divine spark that created me, gifted me with a gift. Me and my brother. Though my brother was too much of a coward to use it. When combined, all my 5 breath weapons, I can sever a god's link to Celestia. That is why the gods feared me and refused to go after me for so long. That is why they don't come down here now and kill me themselves. And that is exactly what I did to my brother when he spoke to me in such tone.
You erased him from existence?
No. No. I sliced his tether to Mount Celestia, but that does not necessarily kill a being. That simply weakens them. Us gods, our mortal forms, can be defeated. Sure, you could plunge a knife into me 1,000,000 times, but gods need to be killed a specific way. And there's a way I am naturally attuned to be able to do it. Don't ask me why or how I was given this ability, but I guess I'm special. Once I had done this, he was weak, and I hid him away. I did not want him going back and his mind being clouded by the gods further. That was when the gods banished me to my own plane, and I brought my brother with me. Bahamut, my brother, is alive, you see. And for thousands of years I have kept him with me, sitting in my plane, feeling sorry for himself, blessing me as too good and kind to fight me, and too weak. And my apology to you today is for being not strong enough to understand that even I must make sacrifices. I guess some family history, some sense of relation with my brother has stopped me from simply killing him, absorbing him, taking his power, till now. Now I'm realizing that, yes, sacrifices, not by my clergy, but by me, must be made for the good of my return. I wanted to rule with my brother by my side. I'd hoped that one day we could rule together, him and me, creating a world that was beautiful, but no, clearly that is not the way. And with the power that I might absorb from him, there is a chance I could free myself. A small chance, but a chance nonetheless. And it is thanks to the work of you, mortals, who have undermined centuries' worth of planning, that I now finally see that. So thank you.
And to think you spent time telling us that we didn't know you. You'd kill your own brother for not even a guaranteed chance of escaping your imprisonment. If that doesn't speak everything about you, then I don't know what else does.
Sacrifices must be made for the greater good, even for the chance of it. And I think...
You despise us, you profane us, you tell us that we are a warlike species, and maybe you are right. But how much do you decry our existence and cite the phrase "in the greater good"? How much has been done by so many in the name of the greater good? The word of every tyrant, king, queen, and arsehole to walk the earth.
You mortals abuse the phrase, the greater good. For sadly, you do not have the foresight of us gods to see what that is. As you say, many queen, king, and arsehole uses it to rally the troops, to rally their people, their forces, in aid of themselves. But only I see the true good that this world, that every world could be. And you will learn and you will see it.
And you believe you alone have the vision to see this. You alone who sat imprisoned for so long, despised by all your godly brothers and sisters out there, imprisoned and trapped and unloved. You believe you have the foresight to see what no one else can. That is arrogance, Tiamat. If you've watched our paths, if you know our stories, if you know my story in particular, you will know that arrogance is the downfall of all. And only hope and faith can build you back up again. Your brother is the last step in a pathway. If you step down the wrong road and you lose your brother, you will be lost forever. And so will he. Your brother who you claimed you wanted to rule by your side, who clearly means so much to you, Tiamat. And you'd throw it all away. For a chance, you say?
Well, thanks to the efforts of Rashak, I must say, though it did not succeed in his main goal, did his secondary job of spreading my name, he did quite well. Now my people are out there, sacrificing gold. I imagine some even people towards me, giving me praise. You see, us gods, we acquire power not just because it is gifted to us from some greater thing, no. It is the faith of you mortals that gives us power. And now that my name is out there once more, that small chance that my brother could give me, if granted the power by my new clergy, well, that chance will grow day by day by day.
It's very unfortunate for you then that the resistance you'll meet, if you do make it out, will send you right back where you came from.
And you too will meet some considerable resistance.
I'm fucking hoping I do. I'm yet to be impressed by you, Tiamat. I'm yet to see anything that offers me any sense that you would do anything better. So bring everything. Bring the cavalry.
Right at the start. Waifs and strays happen to come together, and yet we are the ones who have killed 5 of your priests.
I've killed 2.
Just hear Griffin go, I killed 1. I killed 1.
Love that.
You deem us so low, so beneath you. And yet we have achieved what you yourself have called great things. Why is it we are really here? Not for you to monologue and tell us your plans. There must be a real reason. Unless you are that stupid as to just tell us what you are going to do. So arrogant that you believe, even by telling us we have no chance of stopping you. If that is your only reason for bringing us here.
No. You are right. I apologize. Sometimes the green in me gets ahead of itself. And she sort of almost like caresses the green gem that is upon the necklace on her neck. Fine, I will cut to the chase, so to speak. There is a chance that my brother could live, that I could rule by his side, and that you would not see a god killed for, as you say, a chance. My priests were working on something, a way to free me. You will complete that work. I believe they were finding something called the Yggdrasil tree with the pieces of Vecna, which I now know are within this very space, right now. You will use those pieces, find the Yggdrasil tree, and break me free, or my brother dies. And my son, you see the being that was Balzanor slightly lean forward on his great club, will provide you enlighten as to what he's been up to. The being steps forward and he says, "The one known as Balzanor. He screams in my head right now. He has been strong for so long, but now he sees you, and he cries and begs for help. Sadness. Sound of his screams, oh, they almost lull me to sleep."
Let's sleep at night.
In the Nine Hells, time moves fast. For you it has been only a week, but for me it has been considerably more time since I have gained control of this body. And I've used that time to pick up where my father left off, to reignite the flames of his castle, to reclaim the favors owed by him, and to spread the word of my mother through the hells. The god Erebos, Lord of the Nine Hells, keeps the demons and devils here at bay. He forces them, keeps them trapped within hell. But I have showed them there is a better path with my mother. If they fell under her banner instead of the banner of the ones that keep them here, she could let them free and sow their beautiful chaos across every realm they wish to. Many have fallen under my and my mother's banner now. My father made many deals in Nine Hells during his time of being alive, deals that passed down to me, that I have called in favors, warriors, hordes. They fall under my banner now, my mother's banner, and they are ready at a whim to purge your world of everything.
You just hear Griffin shout in the background, or not shout, but just offer up like, hey, you're just a roofer, and a pretty shit one at that.
There is... It's interesting. Borisov looks forward. Borisov continues to sort of look forward and gaze about you all. He almost ignores the comment. Make me a perception check. Anyone who wants to.
Oh, how's an 11?
That's pretty wank.
Yeah.
Ryan, I don't think I've seen you roll good perception despite you being a perceptive boy. It's almost like you can see it, you're just choosing not to.
I almost like to think that Kaiman in this moment is just like Kaiman is possibly just digging into the food before him.
Just like
they're
I see what's happening. I don't know what's happening, but it's there.
Just need to piece the puzzles together.
Camera just pans
No,
over to Kaiman and there's just going through his head.
Just like elevator music playing. Just like
most of you would see, except for Oramis, most of you would see, though this creature is looking forward and not really noticing much, one of his eyes, his right eye, moves almost on its own and looks towards Griffin. And Griffin, you would see just this eye, like just the right eye, stare at you, almost quiver for a second, before it almost seems like there is strenuous effort to pull it back to the other one. Almost as if
I think Griffin just
something,
cracks a grin.
something inside is saying something, showing you something. He steps back, and Tiamat says, "So, an army of demons and the death of a god, that is what awaits you in 6 months' time. In 6 months' time, as happens every few years on your world, and this is all something you would know, there is an eclipse to mark the turning of the year. On that day, I will arrive. You have until then to free me, to complete the work of my priests. Or Bahamut, god of metallic dragons, is dead. I arise. And the world is changed forever. The demonic creature beside her leans in, says, but there's a little bit of, shall we say, encouragement. My armies will arrive before them. He smiles. Tiamat says, this is my condition, my deal to you. You may save my brother, and save your now crumbling land, a land that practically has very little of an army to defend itself. A land that has been broken by undead, by orcs, by demons and devils, by drow. You can save it. You're completing my work and being quick. That is what I came here to tell you. I just thought we could be a little more civil about the situation. I apologize.
Not sure there's anything civil about threatening the very fate of the world.
No, I suppose there isn't. You're right. So,
How can we let you know what decision we've made?
well, in 6 months, I will either be free, in which case I'll take that as a decision you have not made, but also know that I have many eyes and ears on your world now. Many eyes and ears on your world. And not just yours. The people that pledge their services to me on your world now are people from many planes. The Silverhold is, or held, many very interesting individuals, many of which have escaped your wrath and gone around many places. They are my eyes and ears. And they will see your treachery. So be warned. Be careful. I think that is all. Is it, my son? Creature gives a brief nod. Right. Well, there is nothing else. You are free to go. Is there anything else?
Don't think so. See you in 6 months.
Hopefully sooner. If you arrive sooner, maybe this land won't be ravaged by demons. Only by me. Though it need not be ravaged in the first place. Think on that.
If we are to free you through Yggdrasil, how are we supposed to find you within that? What do you know of how it works?
Sadly, I was not privy to how it works. Yggdrasil is a secret kept by Pelor and Freya themselves, and my father, who passed the secret down to me and Bahamut. I don't exactly know how it works, but you're all very smart individuals. For mortals, that is. I'm sure you can work it out. Goodbye, gentlemen. With that, Tiamat sits back, takes a sip of her drink, and almost like disappears, almost just like fades down to mist, and almost like this mist pools on the floor, like almost like liquid nitrogen before dissipating, leaving you and this large minotaur creature who just stares at you, each of you. Puny mortals. And he too almost steps backward and collapses into smoke. As you all look at each other,
As soon as they're gone, whirl around on Oramis and just be like, a little bit of clarification.
and
How much
before
would
you
I
can
know
answer
about
Oramis,
revenants, Ben?
What's
well,
revenants?
we were
You were chased by Revenant, were you?
Me?
Yeah.
technically Doc was, but as you are thinking of that, and just after Gylndan said it, all of you suddenly feel very, very cold, and you all almost blink, and you are suddenly underwater, swimming, panting to try and swim up to the surface of water, and then you realize you are in the lake, beneath the tower. You swim back to the shoreline, where there are soldiers waiting to meet you with large towels and things, and and as you all swim back to the shoreline, they sort of help dry you off. And it is here we pretty much pick things up as sort of had this time. You swim back to the surface, swim to the shore. All right, yeah, okay, go for it.
Convenient.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you would have that conversation with Oramis, but what are you all doing before and during that conversation?
Shouting at Oramis. Griffin's just like slightly illuminating a smite in his axe, like I can take him again if it comes to it. if he needs to go, he needs to go.
We'll get to that in a minute when Luke gets back, I suppose. Yeah, but how much would I know about revenants, Ben? I do have Know You're Undead by Jiminy Harlock. Advantage on checks to identify undead.
That is true. Roll a religion check with advantage. I've got you.
Wasn't Galahad pursued by Revenant?
He was, and you.
So would you not know it from that?
I believe I remember you rolled a check for that before, and you didn't roll very well. So you just remembered you were aware of that, and it was an undead thing that came after Galahad. And I don't believe you remembered it quite well, but you remember that it is obviously an undead person, a person back from the dead to pursue a goal. With a 26, a natural 20, you know everything about revenants. My God. So, you would know revenants, you would know that revenants are split into several sort of categories. Because revenant is a term for, in the most part, an undead that isn't a zombie, like more of a conscious undead being. Basically like a being without a soul that serves a purpose, pretty much. Whether that, most commonly, that purpose is someone back from the dead to enact revenge, or pursue, something, unfinished work on Earth. You know Oramis, you can look upon him here before you now, and you can see that he's not necessarily, he's not been killed, very obviously killed. But if she said that, if you were to believe Tiamat, what you think might have happened is his soul has been stripped from him to serve a purpose. And with your knowledge of him being a warlock, having a new ship, his previous acts with Dolus, somewhat might be able to gander that maybe that is his reason for being alive now. His purpose, to serve this pack, to serve whatever thing he is now. Because I don't think Doc knows about his new patron, or anything about his new patron. So as far as you're aware, he's alive, serving some kind of purpose. Maybe it's for Dolus. You don't exactly know. You remember that in Hawksmoor, you remember that he didn't really like Dolus. You remember Oramis was kind of going off him a little bit because he made him do some bad stuff in Hawksmoor ages ago. But yeah, generally, person without a soul. That technically.
How can Oramis be one then? He never had a soul to give in the first place.
But yes, now that Luke is back, you've all sort of swam to the very coastline. You're, drying yourselves off with towels given to you by several of the guards. And these guards are now speaking to Mazzy, and Mazzy's just informing them of certain things. What would you like to do?
Confront Oramis on him being a revenant.
Oramis, what have you done?
To what are you referring?
To what the lady up there mentioned? Something about a revenant?
A revenant? I don't even know what that is.
Apparently
Dokrumir just said it out loud.
An undead, without a soul, born of magic to serve a dark purpose to one's master. What have you and Dolus concocted?
I'm finished with Dolus.
Is this how you escaped your pact? You serve another, and now you are undead.
I got my vengeance for Bethany.
Oh.
And that had consequences.
Again, just hear Griff in the background go, "We got his vengeance." Felix and I helped.
You killed Halloran.
I did. And Bethany may now rest in peace.
What cost did it come to you, though?
I gained a ship.
No, that is not what I asked. What did you give? Because you didn't just kill Hallahan, did you?
I did, but I also made a deal to become captain of the ship. So I'm now tied to my ship and the spirit that possesses it.
Is it an evil spirit?
Not inherently, that I'm aware of. It has some dodgy history, but it's just dodgy folks,
Yes, can't ever trust sea captains. Well, I can't say I'm surprised.
I've not changed. If anything, I've improved.
You look a little paler.
I'd argue I'm more use. I'm more powerful.
What if we come to a crucial point in the next few months and something is demanded of you that conflicts with what we want to do?
I've not yet had anything demanded of me.
I know. I'm
against what
talking
I
about
need.
potential here. I want to know if, when the cards are down, can we trust you?
I'm still the same old Oramis. Roll persuasion. And say those beautiful words. I'm still the same old Oramis.
You cannot. I'm going to say, you can't roll persuasion against people in your party except under extreme circumstances.
Oh no! Actually, I fucking beg you, let him roll persuasion.
The question
Just for the fun of it,
is he
it
the
works out.
same? And is it really is it truth or is it deception?
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, I'll allow you to roll persuasion because you're not lying. So this is how well you're convincing everyone that it's not necessarily a bad thing.
See, the funny thing is, Luke, I had a vision about this, and my vision meant you got a natural 1.
Still a 16.
Yeah, that's not 16. That's pretty good.
It's also a real shame because that's a solid roll.
I don't care. I had a feeling you'd just say something that's bullshit today.
Perchance, could one make an insight check?
Yeah, sure. You got a 16 to beat.
Ah, that is a real shame with a plus 11.
Can I make an insight check?
Yeah, sure.
Oh shit, would you look at that? I rolled a natural 20.
No way you had a natural 1 and a 20 today.
Yep. Yeah, boy. So, what the fuck is up with that, Oramis?
Could you repeat the question?
What if there is a potential situation
Mm.
where you have to choose the allegiance of the spirit you've sworn yourself to instead of supporting our cause? Can you say with your hand? I was going to say on your heart. Don't know if you have one anymore. Can you swear on Bethany's life that you will support us?
I swear on Bethany's memory that I will make the right decision, whatever it costs.
Okay, that is extremely vague.
In the back of your mind, Oramis, you hear a voice. Good man.
Oh, I'm not accepting that as an answer.
I work in
not
sales,
an answer.
guys. I'm good at this.
Yeah, it's
Not an
extremely
answer.
vague. You've left that extremely vague.
It's not even vague. It's just not even an answer.
That is an answer.
It's just vague. So yeah, well, you're not in this crew unless you're in this crew. We have each other's backs to the end.
Yeah.
I feel you serve your own purpose now. Do you not see how that's a conflict of interest?
Do you not serve your own purposes in your own way? We all have
Yeah, and
our
I would
own.
drop all of it to make the right decision in the right moment.
And what did I just swore on my one true love.
Yeah, that you'd
I would
make
do the
a
same.
right decision in the right. It was very vague. Yeah, great for trade agreements or whatever. Not good for lying to your best friend or one of your best friends.
I've been here through it all. I've not changed.
Yeah, and yet somehow you've done very well out of it. And I feel like we're going to get into territory where you may not do well out of it. You may die. If you can die again.
I can die.
Is at this point Mazzy will sort of like open his hands and say, okay, not that I'm saying what Oramis has done is okay, but I'm saying from what little we looked up about it and what we were told about whatever's going on with him, that shit, whatever it was, it's almost, I think it needed someone to be the head of it. It needed someone or something to be its captain. And from what we could gather, if Oramis didn't take down Hallowhand in that fight, if he didn't do what was necessary, then Hallahan might still be walking around. And Hallahan was trying to become a priest of Tiamat, we think. I can't quite
Right,
remember.
but
I
you
wasn't
see,
really paying attention.
irregardless of what Oramis
But-
had to do, you see how he is now a liability. We cannot.
Yeah. But then what's the change in that?
Well, before we
suppose
could
he always did play the
trust him
Joker
to
role.
work for his own self-interest. Whereas now,
Is
can't
that not the same?
now he works in the interest of another. First,
Well, now,
he upset
listen.
the god of trickery.
Point
First, he
taken.
made a deal with the
But
god of trickery.
before
Now he's
I was
upset
working
the
for
god
him.
of trickery. I can only imagine what sort of silver snakes are going to come after you now, Aramis.
I can handle myself. But all I would say is, surely it is better to, before I was working for another god. A god that I would add is not necessarily Primo de Campo and could have changed over to Tiamat. And I've got a lot more skin in the game with Dolus than I do with my new ship in tow. So, the ship doesn't want to be destroyed. So I feel like Tiamat, dragon with all of the different fire and stuff, is not good for boats.
Does anyone else just think he's saying words? I'm struggling to see your point here. I feel like we have you on the ropes.
I would say I've improved.
Okay,
not
not
only
disputing
myself, not only myself, but my moral position.
What, since
Is
becoming the
it's actually
captain of a
better
pirate
off.
ship?
Yes. I took over from a very evil man with the sole aim of being better and giving something back to the people.
That is an admirable
You
aim.
sort of see
And not usually
Dungeon
a quality
relax a
we've
little bit
come
and-
to expect from
okay.
you, Aramis. But
I mean, that is low, coming from the man that hid half of his identity from us for several months. Pointing at his scar.
you're not wrong.
I think
We've already
Maz would intercede himself between the two of them. Let's not get. Come on, guys, with a god, we can't let that bitch up there get This is exactly what she's trying to do. She's trying to make us all pissed off so that we've got nothing better to do other than to try and set her free so that we're not thinking straight. Come on.
Well, we're not setting it
Unfortunately,
free, that's
Mazzy,
for
she
sure.
is right in some ways. We are a group of people that didn't know each other, and we've come together, and we've had a lot of trust in each other. But it doesn't run that deep. And so when things like this happen, when Oramis takes that mantle on, it causes tension.
Why did you
It's
hide it,
difficult to trust
Aramis?
him.
If, as you
I didn't
claim,
hide
trust
it.
is
I
so
just didn't
important.
mention it. I've not hidden anything. I just haven't told you all the facts. You didn't ask. I didn't tell you. You
I
didn't
think
say.
you had
You didn't,
ample opportunity to tell.
at no point did any of you say, "Hey, Oramis, how are you? How's things changed?"
You
None
mean
of
when
you
we
asked
sat
I've been on a
down
ship with you for a week.
and we discussed everything that was going on? We made plans about who's going where and doing what. You didn't think that was
Yeah,
a
but
relevant
none of that was
time.
about how is Oramis. None of that was how is Oramis. It's all what are we gonna do? What's been going on in the world? Not one of you said, Oramis, how are you today?
I believe it definitely came up on our recent travels.
Hey, listen. In my defense, you're a very smart man. Did you not think it was a little bit odd that I've got this super fancy ship with a massive library?
100%. Yes.
Well, you didn't ask, did you?
I feel like it came up.
I didn't.
I think the question was along the lines of, how have you got this ship?
What do you think, Kaiman? What do you think? What does Kaiman think of all this? This sudden knowledge that Oramis is undead, and this seemingly deal he's made with this dark ship. What's Kaiman thinking of all this?
Wait, there we go. I'm gonna try something.
Let's try.
Where is it? Oh, okay. He has no idea. So he's still stuck on the fact that, but if he's dead, he's standing right there. Did he die right now? Are we all dead? What is death if it's not?
Simon's having an existential crisis.
Listen, you're both magical. Test me. Go on. See if I am evil.
I'll just look at Doc because I know that you can detect good and evil.
Yeah. I'll lift up the hammer, shining with Apollo's light, and I'll cast Detect Good and Evil.
Can you put the detect good and evil in the chat for me? I just want to read something.
This may backfire.
No, if there's an aberration special safety and undead and 30 feet is where the creature fixing so that a place or object has been consecrated or desecrated penetrate most barriers, then she'd led, blah 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 blah. Yeah, so you raise the hammer forward and you detect. Yeah, you raise the hammer forward and you detect undead. You raise the hammer forward, you point it towards Oramis, and your hammer glows almost brightly, almost like a sort of like metal detector. Like as you point it towards Oramis, the light gets brighter and brighter and brighter. But it's almost like a cold feeling that sort of runs through your hand.
What does it say, friend?
It says he's undead.
Well, that doesn't just like as a point, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's evil, does it?
No.
It's undead.
Yeah, detect good and evil. Personally, I think is a poorly worded spell because not every undead is evil, and not every celestial is inherently good. Same as like elemental, phase, or fae or fiend. Not necessarily everyone is evil or good. I'd probably say most celestials are.
It was made by celestials.
Most celestials are good, and most fiends are evil. But when it comes to fae, elementals, undead, you've all heard, you fought against an army of undead. Oramis is certainly nothing like any of them. But he is still undead, and you're in a land which doesn't like necromancy and things like that. But at the same time, Gylndan, you have to think, you're a fairly wise guy. You've got a pretty good insight modifier, and you know that, he's been with you for it's been a couple of weeks since all that happened, and you've barely noticed. And also, he still went with you to fight, Rashak and do good, good.
Yeah, I'm not questioning anything he's done. I'm questioning what he would do if his spirit makes an allegiance. He's bound to follow. Tell us of your spirit, the spirit that you swore to.
It's called Calypso, and she was betrayed or killed by a lover. Ben, fill in the gaps.
Yeah. So, are you holding any of it back, or are you?
No. I'm staring him dead in the face. I'm actually pissed off that they don't think I'm a good guy.
Sorry, let me just search in my notes for bad things Oramis has done. Oh, what? You found hundreds of results?
So you told them the story of Calypso, this strange creature who fell in love with a pirate captain. This pirate captain betrayed her, abandoned her after he realized that she was a very powerful being, and she gave him what he wanted, and once she refused to give him any more, or once she started, questioning his morals or anything like that, he abandoned her, he betrayed her, he left her for dead on an island. So she cursed him to be stuck on this ship forever, bound to him forever. So technically it is Calypso that created this curse, of these to basically bind the captain's soul to the ship. And it is the souls on that ship basically after a long time, came together, bound within the ship, and realized that they can manifest power. They can use each other to give the captain power. The captain can essentially get power from the souls within the ship, and that almost acts as a, as a source of power for a warlock. So each captain becomes like a warlock, siphoning power from the souls within the ship.
What you're saying, Oramis, is this pact grants you power, but it's the captain that chooses their moral disposition.
Exactly.
And you're 100% on that. There have been good captains that have led your ship.
There have been good captains.
Yeah, you would know that there have been good captains, but like as an internal Oramis thing, you would know that even those good captains did things for the benefit of the ship. Like, all this patron wants is for you to become more powerful and the ship to gain status, because that is, the more powerful the soul that goes into the ship, the more powerful the next one can be.
At the end of the day, and just for the record,
final,
what would gain more status than killing a god?
Would you translate it? Would you translate that it's about gaining status, or was that something you keep?
I think. Would I say that? I think I would say it more along the lines of. How could I word it?
What benefits you benefits the ship, and benefiting the ship keeps the ship happy.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Okay. On that, one final question, Oramis. Can you honestly say you are in complete control? That your choices are your own, and this ship doesn't control your actions?
My choices are my own. I control the ship.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, Doc, we're very short on time, and Oramis has been an asset.
The first half of that is right. He's been an ass.
Oh.
Conceal blade, go.
Turn undead.
All right. If we're all done, we are now somewhat.
Oh, is there no stabby?
Pressed on.
No, actually, not yet.
We are sort of pressed on time a little bit. Shall we start making moves?
I started making moves when I took the ship.
Where is it? It's Hawksmoor next, isn't it?
That's up to you guys.
It is for me.
Hawksmoor with a little drop off for Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How far is Mazzy's parents? It was Mazzy's parents, wasn't it? Mazzy's adopted parents.
Yeah.
How far is that farm from where Griffin needs to be in Hawksmoor? It's like a half a day's ride to Hawksmoor, isn't it?
Right. So, yeah, about a half a day's ride to Hawksmoor, and maybe a 3-day walk. Because if you imagine it's like there, you've got to get through like 3 or 4, like around several mountains and through mountain paths to then get to the very northmost thing. So yeah, 3 or 4 days. If you were to, like, that is walk. If you were to get a horse, it could be less. For Griffin, that is, yeah.
Or an elephant.
Or an elephant. If you really think that Gylndan would give up his elephant for Griffin.
They're all Sam's characters, so they can mingle whatever. Did they have horses at Mazzy's family's?
It was a farm, they did, yeah.
Okay. If everyone's happy, I will teleport us to Mazzy's family's, and that's a good base point for us. Because you wanted to... I could take us right into Hawksmoor, but I thought you wanted to like walk in, Doc.
I think appearing would be counterproductive.
Yeah, just like Because the teleportation circles are guarded, so obviously they're going to take one look at your thing and might have much less negotiating power if we're in irons.
Yes. Openness and honesty from this point onwards. Oramis.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one thing I will say is you can all gain an inspiration point for the little bit of RP that you've just done, and the RP you did in Tiamat's tower. That was very cool.
Let me add it to the list.
I feel like Luke stacked up like 12 inspiration points he's just going to use in the final fight against Tiamat.
I now actually have 3 inspiration points, which is the max.
That is the max, yes. Cool. So, Mazzy sort of produces, like, you know, like he has that like red sash around his waist. He sort of pulls that off and gives it to you, and says, "If you need this for like teleport into my parents, here you go. My mum made it. It's from there physically." And with that, you can teleport to Mazzy's parents.
Is that a good time for a little break?
I was going to say yes, and appearing there, we will go on a quick 5-minute break so that I can grab a charger, and people can do things. We'll meet back here in 5 minutes for.
I'm gonna try dropping out and rejoining the call because it's been very slow for me.
Yeah, go for it. All right. teleport obviously back to the farm. This farm that is set within this large sort of round valley, and it's like in between a few mountains and hillocks and things like that. Wonderful, beautiful little farmstead. And obviously, I forgot his name, Mazzy. Immediately, like once he teleports in, runs into his, runs home, says hi to his family, and you can all sort of appear and.
Which of his family is here?
Yeah, I was going to say, his assistant here.
At the present moment, only his mother, Catherine.
Oh, that's okay.
What's she called? Kathy?
Catherine.
Oh, is she nice to look at?
She's all right. She is like a sort of. She's sort of like a. Obviously, she's human. She's about sort of in her. She's probably in her 60s, like low 60s. She looks more like she's in her 50s. Like her hair is only getting ever so slightly grey at the back. Obviously, she is a woman who, does farming for most of her life. So she's still physically fit and able. In fact, she only you can see she comes out of a farmhouse, and she's like carrying a bunch of tools and things like that.
Griffin's just gonna go up to her, give her a little bow and then a nice kiss on the hand.
As is Oramis.
you guys do that. Why? Hello.
Oh, it is an honour for you, such a noble woman, to house us and accommodate us.
Mazzy, you failed to introduce me to this particular friend. Oh, I remember you. Hello.
There is no need for Mazzy to do my introductions. I shall do my own. And then he'll flourish his cape and be like, I'm Griffin Asahi, soon to be Justica of the great god Tyr. And the pleasure is all mine.
I am Catherine Calhallan, and I have no idea what that means, but I'm assuming it's a good thing, as it's to Tyr, so, well done. Good.
Thank you. I need to borrow a horse.
Wow.
Right. Mazzy sort of looks and says, please let him borrow a horse so that he can get out of our hair. Yes. Unfortunately, we do have quite a busy week ahead of us. Leaving us one horse behind will be a little bit of a detriment to how quickly we can work. The horses work the fields and things, you see. They're not horses for riding, they're more drafting horses. Would you happen to have a little gold that you can...
Of course, anything for a fine lady.
Yes, just 20 gold should suffice the amount that we will need.
Oh, Griffin will pass her 30 and say for pretending to my needs so quickly.
She takes it, sort of nods and smiles at you. Just almost, you can see like a slight sort of redness in her cheeks a little bit as she is.
See that, Oramis?
All these fine gentlemen coming up giving her money, clad in like armor, the classic, and also Griffin, he is a slightly older guy, he's certainly older than most of the Guardians, obviously Felix, but
yeah, I forgot. I was looking through his sheet the other day. I forgot I made it. Well, it's because Asamar lived for longer, but he's 83.
Yeah, I think Asamar lived to about maybe 150. On average. So you're like, in your human equivalent of 50s. She's in her 60s. There's not too much of a difference there. Yeah, cheeks blush slightly, and she sort of takes and says, "Oh, thank you very much. You are ever so kind. I may have to visit the temples of Tyr a little more often, though they are more law places, and I'm a law-abiding citizen, so." I guess probably not. Which is a shame. My son. And she continues to talk to Maggie. She tells him off a little bit for not writing or anything like that, and she's a little bit annoyed that he's only come. He said he'd come to visit more often, yet he's only been once in like 2 months. And she gets kind of annoyed. She's like, I've heard second hand that Daviak has become councilman. How You'd have thought he would tell his own mother or something like this. And I was like, yeah, I know, we've been busy, Mom. Trying to, and there's that whole like awkward conversation between a mother and a son. Being like, how, why don't you call, essentially? But eventually she shows you back to the horse that she can spare. There's a fine, very large, draft horse meant to pull farming equipment to till the farms and uproot the land and things like that. It's this large sort of black horse with a very long mane, and says yes. Her name is Astra. A wonderful horse. Treat her well. Particular favourite is
Griffin's just going to go a bit red and then just go, she's a lovely horse, but you can keep her because I've forgotten that I can summon my own. And then he will cast Fine Steed. Keep the 30 gold, though.
She sort of looks, oh, quite an ability to forget you can summon a horse.
Yes, sorry, I haven't been myself recently.
That is fair. We are people at our age forgetting things all the time. Anyway, it is wonderful to see you all again. Are you all staying long? Or will you be heading elsewhere?
What time
Clinton's just going to put forward that he would not mind having an extra bit of rest so that he can teleport us out of Hawksmoor if it gets ugly.
Okay. Time of day, it is now about sort of 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sun's fairly high, it's in the sky.
Based on our previous trip, do we
the
think we could get there? What if we left now? What time would we get there today?
If you left now, you'd probably get there 8 p.m.
Let's wait.
Maybe more like.
Let's wait and we'll set off early tomorrow. This is not a matter for arriving in the middle of the night. If that is all right with you, Miss Callahan, we will impugn upon your hospitality once again.
Yes. So you were all staying. Excellent. And she takes the tools that she was carrying and she hands one of you a spade and one of you a pitchfork and one of you... So you can help out on the farm. We've had 3 people call in sick today. It's rather unfortunate. I think there's a bit of a bug going around. Jeffrey will tell you how you can help out for the rest of the day. Think of it as a bit of a tithe for staying here. Things are manic here at the moment.
And how far is the journey to the temple? On horseback.
To the temple,
on horseback.
So on horseback, you could get there in 2 days, and it'll be about a day to walk up the mountain.
Okay. And what time of day did you say it was again? Sorry.
About 2 to 3.
Okay. I think Griffin will just set off because he's gonna have to rough it anyway. So it doesn't matter if he roughs it tonight or.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, Griffin sets off down the sort of like long road that leads from the sort of main roads through the mountains.
I think he'll just sort of pull Doc and wait, or rest aside. Doesn't really know Gylndan, and he just say like, I have this thing that I need to go do that is very important to me, but I'll meet you back in the capital.
Okay. See you back. Good luck. We'll see you back in the capital.
Okay.
All the best.
And we'll go from there.
All right. So Griffin rides on his majestic steed out towards the sort of main road through the Hawksmoor Mountains and proceeds to head off. And we'll cover Griffin's journey in a little bit. But for now, the rest of you are quickly put to work on the farm. That is until she sees Kaiman, and she sort of says, "Oh my, hello, Mazzy. Oh yeah, he's cool. This is Kaiman. Kaiman, my name is Catherine," and she slowly raises you a hand to shake your hand. He shakes your finger. You've made quite a friend. Well, you can help here, and she allocates you guys to do a little bit of work for the rest of the day, if you would be so kind. As she said, a few people have called in sick.
I can pull the plow.
Yeah, like, you know, she asks people she needs people to essentially like pick the last of the fruits from the small orchard out the back. She needs people to help sort of like re-sow some of the seeds for the next thing. And yeah, she needs people to help with like animals and things like that. And you guys can, you know, spend the rest of the day doing simple sort of farming tasks at your leisure.
Just a quick one. I think Griffin would have handed over the hand of Vecno, because I think travelling alone with that is not the best idea.
Who to?
Well, Gylndan has the eye, so
Not him.
maybe him.
I feel like they can't be together.
It depends whether I want to make a really cool character.
Oh, right. Let's get one thing straight. Right, who's the villain here?
Well, we're not entirely decided that you're not, so this feels an awful lot like deflection.
All I'm saying is you portrayed us once before in a totally different world, but
in a galaxy far, far away. I think you meant.
Might I put the vote in for Doc as
So
the one who he probably knows the best at this point?
You'd probably hand it over to one of the people you spoke to, yeah. So, Oramis or... definitely not Oramis. You'd hand it over to Dom.
Okay. I shall mark that down.
I can cross that encounter off my...
What did you say, Ben?
I can cross that encounter off my list then. That's a shame. That would have been fun. Anyway, so...
He takes the hand back. He had a slight feeling the gods willed him to do it. No.
So you set off. The rest of you sort of commit to a little bit of day's farming, like, you know, half a day's farming really. And just by the end of the day, you're finally sort of getting into the swing of it, getting into the routine. Before eventually the day is done. Food is prepared for you. You're all allowed to sort of sleep in the house on, like, you know, she pulls out, you know, like she sets up like the sort of like sofa thing that they have for one of you to sleep on. Mazzy can sleep in his old room. One of you take Dabiak's room, and one of you takes the other son's room. That night, you enjoy a hearty, wonderful meal. She tells you that her daughter, Mazzy's sister, was offered a job off to help in Hawksmoor. Apparently in Hawksmoor a few days ago there was some issue with fiends, some issue with demons and devils or whatnot, and they're apparently still searching for some of them. So she was essentially offered to go and help with that, given the amount that she did for taking down the drow. And her son has gone back to what the fucking called? Dernstad, as he's been called back to the College of Dernstad to continue his studies there. And yes, you can all gain a long rest, and early the next morning, and it is very, very early, as you hear the loud cuckoo of hens outside, awaken you literally at the crack of dawn. You are allowed to go. It's about sort of like 6 a.m. You're awoken. Hot sort of like porridge is prepared for you in the morning. She, you know, refills rations and water, powder, and things like that for you, and you set off. And yeah, you all very, very quickly and easily begin setting off into the Hawksmoor Mountains towards the city of Hawksmoor. Hawksmoor Mountains are beautiful. It is a fairly sunny day, actually. It's one of them sort of sunny days where the sun is out. There's not very many clouds, but still like a cold wind blows through. Not like extremely cold like we're having like right now, more of like an autumn chill. Blows through the mountains and almost whistles through the cracks in the mountains and things like that. You can see many of the sort of snow-capped mountains and like forests below, giving a sort of wonderful panoramic view as you spend half a day traveling through these well-cobbled streets. You remember the dwarves in ages past, whether, you know, made it top priority to have like proper ways through these mountains, proper roads that lead everywhere. And these roads should be cobbled, and they should be safe, and they should be lit, and there should be, you know, all that sort of stuff. And so you easily make your way through, and you finally make it to Hawksmoor. Now, Hawksmoor, if you remember, is a city that is half built into a mountain and half not. So, as you sort of approach, you see this massive open, sort of like large open area before the city walls, where there is like this long queue of people waiting to go in and out. The city walls aren't like super tall or anything like that, but they are thick and sturdy. And over them there are images of like images engraved into the beautiful stonework of, you know, dwarven ideologies and things like that. Many of the towers that are sort of in front almost look like, you know, like almost like chess pieces. We've got like old wooden carved chess pieces, and like it's almost like dwarves, but in the shape of like a sort of like cylinder or square. You know, like someone took like a block of stone that was like a square and just chiseled into it to make a dwarven image, but it still retains that shape of a sort of rectangle. Like very, very impressive, very, very beautiful stonework as you look at it. And the main feature of Hawksmoor is that on the opening into this mountain, there is this huge, like, gargantuan stone statue of a hawk that looks over the city. You step towards the queue, you get in the queue, and you sort of slowly make your way towards it. You can hear a lot of sort of whispering and murmuring about the place, some people recognizing you guys as the Guardians, some people speaking on events of the past about, you know, did you hear about what happened in the capital? Did you hear about, you know, what happened? Apparently people are saying in Dawnport things have been happening. All this sort of stuff. And eventually you get to the very front of the queue after maybe about an hour of sort of waiting in this long queue. There you see the familiar figure of several dwarves, you know, armed pretty well in their sort of armor. They wear almost like sort of fantasy Roman armor, but a bit more angular.
Before we go in, I'll just query with. Yeah. Obviously, we've done this before.
Yeah.
And we didn't do this queue, or I can't. No, we did do this queue, but Doc had like a mirror on or something.
Yes, he had.
As we're traveling there, can I just double check that the plan is to get pulled aside, because we are going to get pulled aside?
Yes, Ivan gave me some letters.
Okay.
Okay.
So when we invariably get pulled aside by the guards, what is your course of action?
I will show them the contents of the letters and put my fate in their hands.
Ah, brilliant.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Your association with me is no crime. You are not dwarves.
No, I'm not worried about myself. I'm just worried about your safety. I just hope those letters are what you think they are.
I hope so too.
So, you make it to the very front of the queue. These dwarves dressed in this strange sort of almost like very angular centurion armor stand before you. One of them's like rolled up his sleeves a little bit. He's probably getting quite hot. He's got this like big voluptuous beard. Like, next. You'd better have an excuse as to why you're here, exile. And he sort of like points towards you and is slowly reaching for an axe. And you can see that there are about 4 other dwarves here checking people over. You can see one person is, you know, checking people over, and the other one is asking people's questions. And there's almost like, you know, they're taking people in by twos, but all of these guys have now just turned towards you and readying weapons and getting things ready.
I will have the letter in my hand at the ready, and I will present it. I bear a letter from Thurler and Ivan.
He snatches it out of your hand with like some force. Like if you weren't so willing to let it go, you'd think it'd probably rip. And he sort of like takes it in his hand. Like, let's see what. And he almost has to like whisper to himself like the contents of the letter. Captain. Captain Figure comes around, basically dressed the same as these guys, except he has like this like cape around his like around his back. He's like, "Aye, this one has a letter." Hands him the letter. He too reads through it. Everyone else move on through. You all come with me. And he takes you guys essentially into the wall. There's a door just on the other side, and it leads sort of like into one of the large towers. And he leads you into this room. There's a few seats on a small table. And he just says, "Wait here. We will be back. I will be back soon. Get me a carrier." Dwarf comes in eventually, and on his arm is this large bird, like a hawk. Gives the bird this letter. The bird like takes it in his hand, and immediately just flies off towards the other side of the city. And it just flies off, and you're all stood there. There are like guards eventually come into this room. There's about sort of 5 or 6 guards in this room, fairly heavily armored ones, and they're all just staring daggers at Doc. Each one, you know, like shield, one hand on their weapons, staring at Doc. Not really the rest of you. To them, the rest of you aren't really here. They are just focused on one thing. About half an hour goes by. So it's, you know, now maybe about midday, about sort of like 12. And eventually there is a knock at the door. Guy opens it, heads out, comes back in. "You may all follow us." And you're led out. And as you step outside, there is this regiment of dwarves out here. And these dwarves are essentially tanks. They are dressed head to toe in layers of thick, heavy dwarven steel armor, because that, if you remember, like this like bronzy goldish color. It's lightweight but very, very, very strong. You can't see any skin on these guys at all. The only way you can tell that there are actual dwarves under there is because beneath their helmets, they almost have like their helmets are almost a little bit like Batman in that they, you know, like cover everything except for their mouths. And but you can't see in each of these guys like any lips or anything. It's just these massive voluptuous beards that have ringlets in them that almost have these like small shields. So you can almost think it's like shield, like beard armor. Yeah, these guys are basically like dwarven tanks. They each have on their backs like a large axe, and in their hands they have these huge like blunderbuss muskets.
This is like a famous regiment. Would have been it.
Yeah, this is the Hawksmoor Legion. This is like the most elite of like Doc. You would definitely know this is like the most elite of elite dwarven warriors to exist. These guys are trained from birth to fight and defend the dwarves.
Lean into Doc and say, "Well, it's either really good or we're about to die."
One of them steps forward, a man with a very, very large beard that is braided and trails down below his waist. And upon his helmet, he's basically the same as all the others, except upon his helmet is this like almost like mane that comes back, and it's like this like bright red sort of like mane. And he steps forward and says, "You will conform into our regiment. You will not speak unless spoken to. You will not react to any of the crowd around you. You will not pick up weapons, cast magic, or anything of the like. You will remain silent until we reach the castle. Do you understand?"
Doc will just nod silently.
All right, form up. And this regiment of 12 individuals essentially makes like a diamond formation around you guys. And it is like a tight diamond formation. You guys are almost tripping on each other's heels. And you proceed to walk through Hawksmoor. As you walk through Hawksmoor, you definitely see like whispers and things like that. It is not a regular thing to see these guys walking through the streets. You can see many kids going, "Wow, it's them!" And lots of people are like, "Oh my god, it's the Hawksmoor Legion. Is that the Guardians? What are they doing here?" And eventually, people begin to see Doc's face. And Doc, you are forced to walk through the city as you hear several people going, he's an exile, get him out of here. Branded one, get out of here. And eventually, a tomato does hit you on the back of the head. Then, these guys are defending most of the stuff, but eventually one just flies over, hits you in the back of the head. And though you might look back, several of these legionnaires look towards you to make sure you almost don't do anything in retaliation. And you eventually make it to Hawksmoor. Now, if you remember, Hawksmoor is split into essentially two halves, the outside region and the inside region. In the outside region, it's almost like, you ever seen like pictures from above, like Barcelona, where everything is almost like a grid, and all like the houses and stuff are split into like squares, it's like perfectly uniform squares all throughout the city. It's pretty much like that on the outside of this space, and it is strangely beautiful. There's beautiful architecture around everywhere, and in this outside region, anyone, dwarves, humans, elves, anybody, can live, can work, can do business, can anything. It is then when you get into the inside of the mountain, you pass this like military-style checkpoint, and head inside the mountain, where it becomes dwarves only. Only dwarves, not people can be in here, but there is a curfew. At sundown, anyone who is not a dwarf needs to get out. Thankfully, it's still daytime now. You guys can, so everyone can go inside. Only dwarves can live in here. Only dwarves can do business here, as I say. And this space is similar to the outside space, except for a couple of things. Firstly, the architecture in here is more grand. It sort of climbs higher, and you can see it is all around the inside of this mountain. Like, built essentially into the walls of the mountain everywhere. On the far left side, there is like this, you can see on the very far side, there is this warm glow of what almost looks like lava. And Doc, you can confirm, yes, it is almost like a river of lava that flows through the back of this space. On the far left side is this huge mining colony. Lots of huge machines that are pulling ore from the ground, and the mines here travel all throughout the mountains. There are rumors that all the clans of Hawksmoor and all the villages and every major place in Hawksmoor is connected through these mines, and the dwarves dig extremely deep and extremely far all across. In the center, there is this huge castle, like this massive castle built into the back of the stone of the mountain, and again these like dwarven motifs almost sticking out. And on the right side, there is this massive forge, like huge gargantuan forge with this huge dwarven figure that sticks out. And it's this dwarven figure, and he sticks out and he holds his hand out, and it's almost like a trickle of lava flows from his hand down towards this forge, and it's this almost like lava waterfall that flows from his hand down. You guys head straight for the castle. You're admitted into the castle, and you sort of have to wait around a little while as you enter. The captain goes inside, and you imagine sort of discusses some things, tells people you're here. You eventually come out, allowed into another room, and an elevator almost takes you down. This elevator made from like iron, and there's lots of chains and things, and you step in, and there's suddenly this and you head down and down and down into this very large hall. Step into this hall, and this, Doc, you would know because it is almost legendary. No one goes into this space. For you as a dwarf, this is a space, this is a legendary place to be. Only very, very select people are ever allowed in here for very select reasons. This is Jarl's Hall. This is a very, very large hall that the ground is almost disconnected from the walls, and you can see this warm glow of lava bubbling away from below. There are huge tapestries all over the walls of dwarves fighting, essentially dwarven history. You can see in the one side like dwarves fighting giants, and on the other side dwarves almost meeting each other and fighting amongst themselves and amongst clans and mining and crafting and inventing. And at the very, very end of the hall, there is this one throne and about 6 seats behind, and each one is filled by dwarf. They're sat in it. The 6 seats behind are filled by dwarves of varying looks. Some dark skinned, some light, some male, some female. Males and females here all have beards. And these are probably the most voluptuous beards that you will ever see. One's got like 6 braids that sort of come down. One's like basically this massive one that takes this like whole body. Imagine the most dwarfy dwarves that could ever dwarf, essentially. But sat in the main throne is a man. This man is sort of slumped over. He is clearly not looking very well. You remember, Doc, that, apologies, just trying to find a name. So you know, Doc, that the Jarl of the dwarfs was probably when you were a little kid, was changed into the current Jarl. He's not an old man. He's probably about in dwarven years, probably, you know, dwarf converted to human years, probably in his 30s. And, you know, he's said to be a proud warrior. But what you see before you is not a proud warrior. The man before you he looks old, ragged. He's sat in this chair. His hair is almost white. There's bags upon bags under his eyes and wrinkles. You can see he's dressed in this like regality, but it's almost like it's too heavy for him to comfortably sit. And even from here, amidst the bubbling of the lava and the marching of the legion around you, you can hear the wheezing of his breath. Stood next to him is another dwarf, a dwarf that looks somewhat similar to him. Dark hair, you know, lovely braid, simple sort of like leather jerkin, but very, very nice in its styling. One sort of like pauldron. This man, you would probably be able to recognize as his brother. You would know that he does have a brother, and you'd probably be able to recognize this man. And as you enter the legion stops, the captain turns, stomps his sort of like his weapon on the ground twice, and the legion almost peel back from you guys to create almost like a V shape now. So instead of like it being like a diamond, they peel back to make a V shape sort of around the area. And instead of the man upon the throne speaking, the man next to the throne speaks. As I say, this tall dwarf, hands sort of like almost like proudly behind his back, like and his chest is like pushed out. And he looks to you and speaks to you and says, "Good day, gentlemen. My name is Harvold. I am the Jarl's brother. And I will be speaking for him today upon this matter. You may have heard, or you may not know, that a few days ago, our beloved city was attacked by several fiends, ones that we assume came from the tower. Our beloved Jarl was subject to these attacks. We know not how, but they made it into the city, made it into Jarl's Hall, and attacked our Jarl. He was injured and poisoned and wounded by these individuals, and, well, he has not been the same since. But this matter was of great importance to him once he heard of it, so he wanted to be present for this meeting. But please trust that I, his brother, will speak for him honestly and openly on this very important matter. Now, I think it is obvious which one of you is Dokrumir. The people behind laugh.
Oh, Dwarfumir.
these are the voices of the hall. Each one will have a say in whether Dokrumir will be allowed back into our fold. For as much as Terramund was a proud and honourable dwarf and our cousin, his one voice alone cannot sway the voices of this hall. He must get all of us to be in recognition of your allowance back into our fold, of our brotherhood, of our clan. Now, first I would like to read this letter. Then he looks down and says, Voice Hivaldi, would you be able to read this letter, please? And he looks towards him. Very, very proudly, almost like sticking his chest out and behind his back a little more. And this dwarf, the one with like the 6 braids that sort of come down in this knot, opens up and says, hey, of course. We received a copy of this letter a little while back, and it matches the one that we were just given. It says, My name is Terramund Ivan, Councilman of Ambyr, Berserker of the Hawksmoor Legions, wielder of the Bronzemire Blade, slayer of the Giant King Harold Flame Mason, slayer of the Dawn Medusa, slayer of the Mind Beast of the Averkund Mines, husband to Catra Ivan, father to Ambyr Ivan, and son of Terramund and Hilda Ivan, cousin of the reigning Jarl Dotrek Hawksmoor, friend of the Hawksmoor kin and recognised voice of the Hawksmoor Hall. I write this letter on behalf of Dokrumir of the Guardians, cleric and chosen of Apollo, and exile of Hawksmoor and its extended borders. Dokrumir is a fine dwarf and has brought honour upon us and our kind. He has become a chosen cleric of the god of life, and despite his exile has aided all of those who need it, including members of our race. Therefore I invoke the right of unbranding for the voice of the Hawksmoor Hall. Dokrumir should be able to face the voices with their Jarl and atone for what he has done, and possibly be welcomed into our halls once again. It is my wish that Dokrumir be the successor of Kirvan Van Whitash and become the councilman of religion for our country. I hope the voices will see what I see in this young dwarf, and I hope we are able to welcome him into our great hall as brother once more. Voices be heard. Terramund Ivan. A nice letter from Terramund, I think. Terramund sort of looks towards him. Thank you. Now, Dokrumir. Let me be frank, this is highly irregular to have an exile have the right of unbranding upon them. It's not been done for many years. What was your relationship with Terramund Ivan?
We spent time together planning the recent partially successful defense of the capital. We worked for many hours to defend and protect all the people who reside there.
Indeed. And after many hours working with him, he decided that you were worthy of unbranding. It's rather odd. We've known many dwarves who have been exiled, who have toiled away for many years, and none have been unbranded. What do you think he saw in you that made you worthy of this?
I don't know what he saw in me. As he writes, he names me the chosen of Apollo. The faith within the capital has been shattered. The temple of Apollo has been burned, and the temple of Pelor sundered by a meteor from a powerful mage. those responsible for both acts have been brought to justice at the hands of my companions and myself. Maybe it is that devotion to the gods that he sees in me.
Aye, devotion to the gods. Interesting. Very interesting. We dwarves are known really to devote ourselves to one god, the god Mars, god of dwarves. Do you have much relations with him, perhaps?
Mars is not my chosen deity. My history was one of healing. I was never possessed with a warrior's gift. I grew up knowing it would be my role to aid those who suffered on the battlefield and aid them back to the battlefield so that they may continue their triumph. I never sought the role of a warrior. I never sought the position of a hero, but I have found myself thrust into this position and move forward within it to continue to heal and aid where I can.
One of the voices, the man who just spoke and read the letter, sort of almost speaks up in this point and says, "Ah, a very noble pursuit, Dokrumir." At which Harrowmond almost looks back at him. He stays facing you, hands behind his back, but he looks back at him and he says, "I suggest the voice be quiet." And this man sits back and is quiet. And it was like, good. Now you've brought with you some friends here. I would like their input as well. You are the fabled guardians. I believe I've heard some things of your deeds. What say you all on this young dwarf here? Do you think he is worthy?
Look, just saying it before we do your speech that when they introduced Ivan, he had 9 titles. So if you want to give yourself 10, it's the only way.
Fair, valiant dwarf. I am Oramis, captain of the Vengeance, the slayer of dragons, beholder on holder, god killer, captain on the council, vice admiral of the Shattered Coast. I'm only up to 6. I'm struggling here. Member of the Guardians, defender of the weak,
Breaker of hearts.
breaker of hearts, and
Cheating bastard.
and fine, yeah, cheating bastard or not, captain of anyway. And I'm gonna look at Dokrumir right now. I can fuck his whole shit out.
It's maybe not the best time to do this off the back of the conversation we had yesterday.
I have never met a more selfless man in my life. This man, he would gladly put himself in front of a horde of enemies to defend our nation of Ambyr. He has done no wrong that I have ever witnessed, and I think he is a proud brother of the Dwarfen nation, and you should welcome him back.
Okay. Roll me a persuasion.
Can I help Oramis?
Yes, of course you can. How would you help?
By saying, I will add on to what you said that, I think since Dokrumir confided, you confided in me why you have that thing, don't you? You confided in all of us why you have why you're exiled.
Yes, that is part of my history and I've shared.
Dokrumir confided in me and my friends why he was exiled from here. And I see that regret etched mentally and physically on him every day. And that's what drives him to be the better person that he is.
Okay. Well said. Oramis, you may have advantage.
Oh, that's weak.
Well, you needed it.
Yeah.
You needed it. All right.
That's because Doc, I'm still mad.
As you speak, Harriman sort of looks, sort of still hands behind back, sort of like chest puffed. He almost deflates a little bit, and he almost looks unimpressed. But several of the voices behind him do look somewhat impressed, and one of them sort of opens up, this female dwarf, sort of like short beard that sort of ends in a goatee, and she says, "Those are fine words, and we have heard the skill and the deeds of the Guardians even from here. We've heard you even aided us in efforts, and firstly, I would like to say thank you, but also those are very, very fine words indeed." Almond turns around to her and says, "I believe the Lady Hilda voice of the hall. I suggest you too be quiet." And she sits and is quiet. He says, "Those are kind words, but you are not dwarves, you do not know our history. What Dokrumir did was a very, very dark deed. Dokrumir, would you like to explain for us what you in fact did all those years ago?"
When I was training to be a healer, one of my friends grew ill. In my ignorance and my naivety, I did not believe that everything was being done that could have been done for him. And when he passed away, I was distraught. And so I stole sacred forbidden texts of mallet containing magic that I now know to have been wrong, as well as beyond me. And had I been allowed to attempt such, would have committed worse tragedies to take place.
Luke, you said you wanted to cast True Sight.
Yeah, just in the background while Doc's talking.
Yeah. With your eye, luckily, when casting True Sight, you don't need to do anything. You just need to blink and activate it. Could you really quickly just look at your phone?
Yeah, sure. Looking.
One sec. Facebook Messenger in particular.
Subtle. Nothing's come through. Something has come through.
That's not a noise you want to hear.
Nah, it's not.
Does it let you? So you have True Sight.
Yeah.
Are you seeing something disconcerting?
No, I'm seeing absolutely nothing. Oh, dude, why did I not have this?
Is there anything you'd like to do, Oramis? And anyone else? That is. There's a brief pause.
I turn to Gylndan.
Mhm.
Do I do this or do I do something more brash?
You've tickled my curiosity, so I want you to do it, but I also want you to do whatever Oramis wants to do.
I'm going to turn to Gylndan and say, get ready to cast Dispel Magic.
Counterspell or Dispel Magic?
Dispel Magic.
On what?
On the guy.
Oh, the brother, Albert.
Yeah. And I'm going to challenge him and
ready that then.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge him and say, I feel like you are silencing the valid voices of your fellow dwarves. What gives you the right to speak over them? I'm going to try and rile him up a little bit.
Before I answer that, I'm going to quickly grab my iPad charger because it's literally on 1%.
I thought he was going to do that during the break.
It's Ben. Come on.
Yeah.
Did you give me a cue to when Dispel Magic?
I would kind of imagine as he responds to my challenge. My other option was to just go up there and start slapping him.
You showed real development by not doing that.
Yeah.
And look at us. We were having a go at you earlier the following day, or the previous day. And you've come on so far.
I was very sorely tempted, just so you know, very sorely tempted to say something unkind about Dokrumir. But that would have been to nobody's
That'd have
benefit.
been
So
round 2 of your little. You've been at each other before.
we've had little.
Yes, I believe it was over undead before as well.
It was in the Underdark, I think, wasn't it?
This is such a poignant moment.
Oh, 1 second. Ah. Oh, don't die on me. Don't die on me.
Oh Lord.
Ooh, Lord. Ooh, Lord, he dying. Well, maybe we don't know yet, but... There we go. That should have worked. There we go. Right. So, I'm just can't figure this out. So, he said that, and he says, I have every right, half-elf. I speak...
Cast Spell Magic.
An important question. What level are you casting Dispel Magic at?
I mean, I was going to cast it at 3rd, so I won't try and mess the game by you asking me that question.
Okay. You cast Dispel Magic, nothing happens.
Oh, for fuck's
If
sake.
it's a higher level spell, I get a chance to do it.
Let me just look up something.
For each spell 4th level or higher on the target, make an ability check using your spellcasting ability. The DC equals 10 plus the spell's level.
No. Technically, nothing happens.
Oh, behave.
Nothing happens.
Sadly, nothing happens. You reach out with your spell, with the Dispel Magic. And does Dispel Magic have any somatic components?
It's got verbal and somatic here.
Verbal and somatic. So you reach out to cast this spell, and immediately, like, dwarves rush, like, the Legion runs behind you, and almost one of them bear hugs you.
Okay.
What do you think you're doing?
As he's talking about, what's the plan here, Oramis?
Do none of you think it's strange that this man has stepped in so brashly to take his brother's place? He is not one of you. He is a demon. I can see it.
You see the Jarl sat in his chair, slumped, just like, tries to speak, but he He's too weak to say anything. And Haralmund lifts out a hand and puts it on his brother's shoulder and almost pushes him back down in his chair, and he says, "Yes, I know, brother, the insolence of these people is uncharacteristic of what we expect in this hall." Everyone make a second there.
He's just flipping murked him, isn't he?
Oh, yuck. Kaiman, I fucking beg.
Perception. Oh, why do I not have advantage?
Kaiman. Kaiman.
Well, you can see the main thing, Oramis, but yeah, come on, Kaiman. I believe.
Give him the big perception bong. Oh, you warble.
Doc, you want to make a perception?
I did.
He's done it.
Oh, you have. You got a 9.
Kaiman.
Yeah, mine's still better than yours. So
Yeah. And for this, the DC wasn't incredibly high. Most of you, it is very, very hot in this room. It's kind of hard to distinguish. They're also, like maybe like 60 feet away. But Carmen, you look at this guy and you swear, what's up with that guy's hand? It's on backwards. Like his palm is on the opposite side. Like his palm is up. But his hand, it's almost like his palm, it's almost like his hand naturally rests like this, and his fingers are curling back. And his thumb almost curls back. And his palm is up and the back of his hand is almost down. As he places his hand on his brother's shoulder.
problem. So
obviously, so Oramis has just thrown out quite a hefty accusation.
Yeah.
What's the result of that?
So.
Well, so I'm still getting bear hugged.
Yeah. So. This guy would then sort of like put his hands behind his back very, very quickly, and then just shout, "How dare you, half-elf! I suggest you be quiet." Can you make a wisdom saving throw, Aramis?
Oh, sure.
3.
Does that beat? Aramis, you find yourself unable to speak.
Hang on a second.
As you try and say something now, you can't speak. So that's what he's done. The voices in the hall all look about. This is getting out of hand. What is going on here? The legion around you are all very confused. One of them is grabbing Gylndan. The captain's sort of looking around. What do you mean, fiend? What is going on here? What is happening with your eye? What is? And they are like almost reforming the diamond back around you, but they don't know whether that's protecting you or an offense against you. They're confused. I'll say everyone sort of gets like, after hearing Oramis say what he said, and after this guy has done something against Oramis, I would say everyone gets a sort of action to determine whatever. To do, essentially, you guys get a turn of combat, let's say. So what would you guys like to do?
Does Oramis outright declared he's a fiend?
Yes.
And dispel magic didn't make him
You
appear
cast
as
Dispel
however.
Magic, 3rd level. You don't. But it didn't work. It wasn't even like it wasn't even like you got the chance to amplify it. It just didn't work. If you want, you can make me an Arcana check.
20.
20. That was the DC of this Arcana check. You would think that so Oramis, you know of his eye, and he can see it. So that means either one of two things. Either it's not like a spell magic, that is thing in his eye, or it is a spell, and he is almost immune to certain magics. Like he is immune to certain low-level magics. You may need it at a higher level. As I'd say, with a 20 Arcana, you would know of some creatures out there that are so powerfully infused with magic that just spells cast at a low level essentially can't fuck them up.
How low a level?
I would say that would require a lot higher of a check. But that there are many creatures. Some it's like any spell 3rd level or lower. You can't do anything. Some with 5th level, some at 6th, 7th, 8th. But you are aware in your studying that some creatures are just immune to spells cast at low levels, no matter whether it says the spell can be higher or lower. Like can be amplified higher or lower, or contested.
Am I actually able to cast magic?
I would say this guy he's only grappling you.
Yeah.
Right now, he's not physically restraining you. So I would say you can very, very quickly cast something before he tries to restrain you.
Okay. Yeah, before we end up in a shit sandwich then, I will cast the spell magic again, but I will upcast it at 8th level.
8th level?
Yeah, I just want to make sure this definitely works, because I feel like otherwise we're in trouble.
Okay. How does it look when Gylndan casts a spell magic?
Was it? I imagine at the 3rd level it's quite like a delicate, subtle spell, and then when I upcast it, like it's still quite delicate to start with, but then instead of like the little sort of bit where I send it on its way, it's like rammed, so it just hits him like a gust, whereas before it was a little sort of trickle. Now it's like a full-on gust.
Yeah.
And it just blows away, hopefully, whatever.
So
magic is.
this gust hits him, and it's almost like this gust hits him, and then this dust blows away off his body, and this flame just engulfs the dust. And before you can see this tall figure, like 6 feet tall, this like humanoid figure covered in red fur and dressed in sort of fine silks and things, and it has the head of a tiger. And you can see now very clearly its hands are backwards. It has these large fangs, it has these horns that come out the back of his head, wrapping around. It doesn't have these stripes like a tiger does, but it is certainly almost like a sort of like humanoid Bengal tiger.
This is not at all how I thought your deal was going to go, Doc.
Upon this happening, what would everyone else like to do?
Can I speak?
Nope, you cannot speak.
Can I contest this thing?
Nope, it is suggestion. You cannot do anything until you are damaged by him. Or, well, no, damaged. Then you can make another save. But sadly, you cannot speak. What would everyone else like to do very, very quickly?
I have no idea.
Hit him with
Doc is
radiant
probably
drive.
just sort of stunned there internally, just panicking because like things have just gone to shit. Like
Yeah.
his
The
one
voices
chance
all around.
is just crumbling around him.
What are you? You immediately turn and see the legion around you immediately turn at their blunderbusses, and the captain is like, what? That's not Legion, aim! And everyone in this, and all the dwarves in this legion just suddenly like aim up against this guy. So if no one else is taking actions, these things all aim up. This, like all the voices of the hall immediately like get up and almost turn to try and hide behind their things. And this being just like, oh, well, I was having so much fun. Damn wizards. Clicks his hands, and in a gulf of flame from his finger, just flames erupt, and he disappears.
God's sake. Counterspell. I can't speak, can I?
You cannot speak.
Fuck.
Does counterspell have verbal components? Probably.
No, counterspell doesn't have. No, it's only semantic counterspell.
Okay. Sure. What level are you counterspelling?
Everything I do is at 4th level.
All right.
Everything
Roll
I
a charisma check.
do
D20
4th
plus
level for you.
charisma.
Just straight charisma check, Ben.
Yes, straight charisma check.
Oh.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah, he clicks his hands. You immediately just like throw your hands out, trying to counterspell, and you almost like want to try and say something, but obviously you can't. And yes, he's clicking. What the? Oh, I just want to go home now.
Oh, fucking! Can we bombard him with shit?
Yeah, I'll say, yeah. Really, we won't bother rolling initiative because I don't really suspect that this will go his way. So I'm gonna say that. I guess it was his turn to do that. Everyone else's well, you had your reaction to counterspell. I'm gonna say that. Yeah, it now goes around to everyone else's turns. It's going to be first of all, it's going to be the voices of the Legion. Now, there's 4 of you guys. Can each of you roll me 3 d20? Not the voices, sorry, the Legion.
Oh, 37. Or 19 and 16 are decent rolls.
These are rolls to hit, by the way. Okay, so add 10 to each of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hit. That is okay. Now I'm going to need to. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do it in here instead. Nope, that was the wrong one. So I'm going to do now.
You're going to roll D100?
No, 14, D10 plus. God, there's 7 hits, so plus 4. What's 4 times 7?
28.
28.
Immediately you just hear fire, and there's just a like crack of almost like thunder, like dozens of cracks of thunder all around you, as these blunderbusses almost begin to light with this energy, and then
Well, it must be so loud in this meeting room.
It is so loud, your ears are ringing, and these arcane empowered shots fire and hit this guy for 103 points of damage. You see this being just
Or the Jarl.
Yeah, I'd say you move up to your speed, Aura of Purity.
So
as you
purifying energy radiates around you until the spell ends. Your move centered on you. Each non-hostile creature, including you, can't become diseased, has resistance to poison, and has advantage on saving throws against effects that cause any of the following conditions: blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, and stunned. That's a mouthful.
Now, let me just have a look. Actually, sadly, nothing happens. Sadly, as you move forward and this aura of purity radiates around you, nothing happens. The king, you can see he begins almost like he's lifting slightly in his chair, but you think that's mainly because everything around him that's happening. He is still old looking and awful. What everyone else has to do.
Can I shout? Do we need him for answers?
Probably. Yes.
Probably. Okay. Oh, I don't think much I've got can hit him, unfortunately. If he's immune to spells, that's kind of my whole game. Kaiman, knock him out. That's what I'll say.
Extra big bonk.
I mean, he's 60 feet away from you guys, so that would be essentially coming off the dash. Which would
Oh,
be
that is. I thought we were much closer.
No, you guys are like 60 feet down the hall.
Well, we've
Which, when
been
you think
shouting at
about
each other this whole time.
It's only like 20 meters. It's not really that far, and like your voices like echo across the hall.
So can you actually get there, Carmen, to do any bonking? Oh, do you know what?
Guiding.
No, I don't think it'll affect him.
Radiant.
Oh.
Anything? What about Oramis? Anything Oramis would like to do? You can't speak, but you can still do other stuff.
Can I run up to him?
Yeah, you have a bonus action dash. You can run up to him.
Knock him out, Oramis.
And I'll bonus action attack him with my.
Are you action running up to him and bonus action slashing him, or are you bonus action running up to him and
That's a valid point. I take that back. I'll bonus action run up to him and Shadow Blade attack him.
Okay. Roll to hit with your Shadow Blade.
Can I give you a 10? A divination roll of 10, which with your modifier should hit.
It's a 21.
That does hit. Roll damage.
1d8 plus 3 slashing. 7.
This guy has this guy has 100.
Oh, plus 1 magic. So
this guy has 110 HP.
Oh, he just did it.
So you just got him. As you run up to him, you slash him with your magic weapon. And as this guy's been absolutely blasted, suddenly Oramis just sprints up to him, and as he almost looks at you like, slash up his body, and he falls to the floor. Are you hitting him lethally or non-lethally?
Well, I'd have heard this guy's talking about not kill him, so we can question him. So I would not be going for the throat.
Alrighty, so you just like slash up his chest.
Ben, is this a Rakshasa?
Gylndan might not know that.
No, I'm just asking you.
But
I'm just saying,
yeah.
if you did kill him, you could be a Rakshasa Basher.
Oh, Rakshasa
Hello.
Basha. Hello. Beholder on holder. Rakshasa Basha.
But yes, this guy does slash up the body, falls to the floor, like almost like starred out in this position, and you can see like he's dressed in these fine silks. He's got like rings up all of his hands. He's got like ringlets, like piercings, and he's got more jewelry and gold and everything on him, and he looks just like finery of fineries. And you just slash up this nice silk shirt. Small bit of like this almost blackish blood pours down his chest, and he just falls to the floor. Not dead, but certainly unconscious. And I think that is where we'll leave it for this session, and we'll pick back up next session with what the hell just happened there, and and how we go from here. Hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all very, very much for joining me this week. Hope you all had fun. A bit more of an RP bit this session, except for right at the end where a Rakshasa came in and fucked everything up. But hey, I wasn't going to make it easy.
I'm just glad I remembered to actually use my eye for once.
I am too, because my other thing was, well, obviously he had his hand behind his back. My other thing was I thought maybe Griffin was going to be there so you could use Divine Sense. Because, I mean, yeah, I can... I'm not going to tell you. Nah, you've knocked him out. He still has a chance to get up. Go on, tell you. But, yeah, that certainly could have been interesting. Good job, guys. You found the Rakshasa in the dwarven